Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Vote 24 TV Kakis Dialogue. It is nice to have you here. We are saddened today that we just a major catastrophe just happened in Ghana, and it is something that has taken over the Facebook and other social media platform. A Liberian man was brutally murdered. He was brutally murdered in Ghana. I've been hearing stories about Ghana since the Liberian Civil War. I've been hearing stories about Ghana since the Liberian Civil War. Liberians are generally proud people. They do not look down on themselves, and to a larger extent when compared with a lot of other people, Liberians are people who always want to present themselves in the best way possible, that others will not look down on them. But quite frankly, the war in our country destroyed a lot of things. And one of the things that the war did to us was to force Liberians into other people's country. And unfortunately, some of those countries that Liberians went to, some of them were not welcoming. But every Liberian knows that what keeps Liberia going is that welcoming spirit, that spirit of friendship, that spirit of brotherhood. That is what keeps Liberia going. Liberia is as poor as many of these West African countries, but a typical Liberian is difficult to see them go hungry. A typical Liberian is very difficult to see them go hungry. When they go hungry, it means that in their immediate community, there is nobody there who is sufficient enough to cater to them. But Liberians generally are people who will share at any given point in time once they have the means. And so the level of hardship that you may find in Ghana, in Nigeria, in Sierra Leone, you might not see it in Liberia, simply because, not that the country is not tough, but simply because of the nature of Liberian, the social culture of Liberia, that makes it very easy for a Liberian man to stretch his hand to another Liberian. But the war came and destroyed a lot of things. And so Liberians found themselves in other countries, and in some other countries, they were badly treated. I have not lived in Ghana before, But the information I get from Ghana, from every Liberian who live in Ghana, is very negative. Very, very negative. And it's not only Liberians, the Nigerians will tell you the same, and even the Ivorians will tell you the same. Liberia as a country has received a number of refugees from other countries, like from Ivory Coast and from Sierra Leone and Guinea. But the stories, the reaction, the aggression by the Ghanaian authority and the Ghanaian citizens towards Liberian refugees in Ghana, no one will hear that Liberians ever made a similar act against Sierra Leonean refugees. You will not hear that Liberian ever did that to Ivorian refugees, and you wouldn't hear that Liberians did that to Guinean refugees. The position of Liberians in relations to refugees who are people who took refuge in Liberia was simply you integrate into the society, we found a community for you where you build, you integrate into the society, or those who want to go back home can simply go back home. So most of the Sierra Leonean refugees remain in Liberia. Most of the refugees from Ivory Coast remain. The refugees from Guinea also remain. But in the case of Ghana, what we noticed was a dispersal of Liberian refugees. There were no plans for integration in any way. Our authority was forced to take a number of Liberians from Ghana in recent time. I think it was last year. And that was abrupt because the Ghanaian authority was chasing people away who, some of whom have lived in Ghana more than 25 years. This is West Africa. But let me play for you a clip that I have about the situation that occurred in Ghana that I'm talking about. You just listen to the explanation from the lady who was an eyewitness and who this fellow had gone to see probably.
Immediately. So the police came, we went to the hospital. Before we reached, us was dead. So they beat him until he didn't have strength to do anything. I was like right here, and us was standing right next to me. And the security man was just right here with the cutlass, standing right here. And he was shouting at us. And I was just telling us, I said, go a step. Because I don't want them to fight. So I was telling him, I said, go a step, go a step. And he was like, no, why should I go a step? Like that. I didn't do anything. I said, no, go a step. And the man was talking in Twi and in English at the same time. So when I turned my back trying to push him to go, the man then pushed me aside and then grabbed us and brought him down and hit him. Get out. You come in somebody compound, you come there harass their wife, I'll beat you, and start saying a lot of things. Another guy was passing, he was painting. So he had paint all over everybody. The guy held him very tight, like that. So, oh, leave him, why are you beating on him? And he tried to explain to the guy in true. So the lady that said she was assaulted, she also came. And I was trying to ask her, I'm like, what happened? And she was explaining. So I was telling her sorry. I said, sorry, let it be like that. And us was just standing right next to the place like this. And the guy moved his hands from the person that was holding him and rushed to us again and push him, start to hit him, get out, leave the compound, leave the compound. And myself, I ran behind him. I'm like, stop hitting him. What happened? Let him be. Trying to talk to the guy to not hit him. He said all he wants is us to leave the compound. So I didn't talk to us. I said, okay, leave the compound. Don't come inside. Do you get? Stay outside. Let me get the thing so we go. Like that. Right to between the tank. Let's just go there.
They put the tank. Eh?
So it was just right here. It was right here.
That's your guy.
And he
Don't
told us
fuck
to
my
leave.
life for.
So I didn't walk with us. I said us should go outside.
Huh?
So us went outside. Us was outside. The lady that assumed to be a sorter was right here. The security man was just right here, like few minutes away. And I was talking to her and trying to calm her
When I
down.
did regret.
And us was trying to come back to talk to her. I said, no, don't come inside. You just stay outside. In fact, go away. Don't come back here. And he listened to me. So he was walking away. He wasn't to the front of the gate. He walked in front. All of a sudden, the lady husband didn't call. She gave the phone to the security man. I don't know what they say in Tree. And the man filled up with speed. He was chasing us with the cutlass. So before I could leave from here to go there, I didn't know which direction they went to. So there was a girl upstairs that told me still they were fighting him up there. They were like full because he was shouting, I don't know, Ebere or what. Something like thief. So that was how they jumped on him at the scene to where it happened. And they started to beat him. So before I could leave from here to go there, I just met him helpless on the floor. And I called his friend who did the video was talking because I'm like, he's not a thief. Why are you beating him? He came to collect paper and I also came along with him. He's not a thief. Can a thief? I had his bag with me, his laptop bag, his phone and everything. I'm like, can a thief be dressed like this? Can a thief have all of these things? He's not a thief. Oh, he's not a thief. I know, madam. We are not saying he's a thief. I said, but you say he's a thief. That's why people are hanging on him. No, he assaulted somebody, so we are taking him back to the compound. And I'm saying he's not leaving from here. And I was trying to call his friend, and another person came to me with a rock. They will smash my phone. If I don't leave that face, they will slap me. So there was a lot of things that happened. And then a motorcycle was passing. I just stopped the boy. And the boy stopped and came and asked. He spoke Tree, they explained to him Tree. And then he came to me, madam, what's happening? I tried to explain to him. That was how the boss started horning, the horn and calling few friends. When people came around, we then later explained to the guy. But at that time, us were already weak. Yes, because he was just fighting to get off the ground in Kunu. So a lady was there saying, oh, go and get water. And when I bought a sack of water, I brought it. We were wasting it on him, but he was still weak. So somebody said, oh, you're taking him to the hospital. I ordered a ride, the ride canceled. So somebody else.
Oh, it was the security who chased him out because Austin was trying to run. So now he's like, Iwi.
Yeah, that's
So that's how people heard.
But the security knows him, right?
He's not a thief. The security knows.
He knows. Why are you shouting thief?
Because Austin was running away from the cutlass he was using. That's why he started.
Saying that Austin could have faced him, but you know, no matter how strong you are, once the person fighting you has a weapon, there is no way you can fight that. Cutlass. I will not stand. I will run.
Austin is very.
I will run.
You wouldn't want to attack him.
But because he doesn't like violence.
Yes.
Immediately. So the police came and went to the hospital.
So you heard the story. Here is a guy, Austin, who had gone to this girl for a particular reason, and they were collecting a certain paper for them to go somewhere. But a lady in the compound claimed that this guy was molesting her. And this is a pregnant woman. I'll probably try to get the clip. I'll probably try to get the clip. So this is a pregnant woman and who claimed that this guy was molesting her. and she complained, and it was against that the security took collapse and was trying to harm this guy. And the girl who was explaining tried to intervene. But it's the girl that told the guy to leave the scene. But apparently, the husband of the girl probably told the security to chase after him, and the security referred to him as a criminal. And he watched 4 other Ghanaians beat this guy to death. So if the husband has said to him, make sure that the guy doesn't leave, that's a different case. But he watched 4 other Ghanaians beat this guy simply because somebody accused the guy of molesting them. And the thing about it is, the lady who accused Austin of molesting her was already pregnant. She was a pregnant woman. She was a pregnant woman. And Austin has a reputation in Ghana. He has lived there for some time. He has a reputation in Ghana. And maybe I'll just play it. I'll play his sister clip so you understand, what he did while he was in Ghana. I mean, it's a very sad story. It's very sad to hear. Very sad to hear. Liberians are generally very peaceful people. They don't get in people's way, or they're not very harsh people who are ready to fight at any moment. Liberians are generally very, very kind and easy to deal with. So what happened to Austin in Ghana was a serious tragedy. It shouldn't have happened. And the only explanation that we can give is that there is a latent motive which underpin the abuse that Austin underwent. It is very, very saddening. And the 4 guys that actually did the killing, they have managed to get 3 of them. They've managed to get 3 of them, but the 4th one is on the run. The 4th one is on the run. It is very, very, it's a sad story for Liberians living in Ghana. And it's also a sad story for Liberians who live with Ghanaians every day in Liberia. Liberians will not treat anybody like that. They will not treat a Ghanaian like that. A Nigerian or any other person. It's very sad that we having this kind of situation play out over and over in Ghana. So it's obvious that if you are a Liberian, you got to take your security very seriously while you are in Ghana. Irrespective of the fact that there are good people in Ghana, but overwhelmingly, overwhelmingly the Ghanaians see Liberians and other foreigners as threat to them. So it's something that we have to consider very, very seriously when we choose or we opt to live in Ghana. Ghana is a West African country, yes. We are free to go there anytime, yes. And like any other country, we should not feel threatened. But if a people have demonstrated over and over continually that they do not have space for foreigners, then anybody who is a foreigner ought to be very, very careful in how they conduct themselves in Ghana, always on their life, to make sure that they are safe when they are interacting with folks in Ghana. Apparently, had this guy not left the compound, if he had remained in the compound under the watch of this lady, he wasn't going to be hung. Or in the first place, if he had just gone upstairs instead, as the lady was advising, he wouldn't have been harmed. But this is the situation that we as Liberians are faced with, and it's because of the situation in our country. When we had a better opportunity in our country, when we had jobs in our country, it was Ghanaians who were coming to Liberia and finding work. Whether they were working in our schools or they were working in some stores or wheresoever they were working at the time, Liberians were open to them and provided them the opportunity equal with Liberians to find a job and send money back home. But when the war came, it was the other way around. So let me show you the so these are the guys who did the killing. These are the guys who did the killing.
Problem there. Better call Jesus. I'm only big man, no the ball on me. I watch your face.
So sorry,
I see the hope and it down on me.
We're not seeing
Everything could have been lovely, but I'm just another guy. I'm just another guy. Obsessed to my morals, concerned to my liberty. Options overflow. I'm not gonna.
It seems to me that they are treated very well. They are treated very well because they look like guys who have already showered. They took shower because the clothes that they were wearing before, is not the clothes that they are in now. Let me just try to get the photo of those guys. photo of those guys. Let me just so I'll just put the photos of those guys up briefly so that you see the contrast, the difference. The guys were, when they apprehended them first, they were in the different clothes. But if you look at them now, they are clean. It seems that they have taken shower, and so they have that leverage. They are very okay. They're very okay. I mean, you kill a Liberian, is not a Ghanaian, and therefore the possibility for you to be set free in Ghana is 75% to 25%. You kill a Liberian, it's not a Ghanaian, so you could be free so easily. That is what happens in Ghana. I don't recall anybody talking anything good about Ghana regarding how they treat foreigners. Yeah, I don't recall anybody talking anything good about Ghanaians regarding how they treat foreigners. So I don't expect anything much to come out of this case except the Liberian government takes serious interest in the case. I mean, the Liberian people, our brothers and sisters all across Liberia have been engaging Facebook, the social media, and that is how much they can do. It is a responsibility of the Liberian government to take interest in this case because her citizen was killed in a foreign country in cold blood. This Liberian deserves justice as much as any Ghanaian. But it is a tendency of the Ghanaian to downplay the lives of a Liberian because their culture is like that. They hate foreigners. And so we have to be very, very keen on this case and follow it to the limit. Let the law take its course. Let the law be followed. These people have to be prosecuted, and the example will have to be shown in Ghana that you do not kill a Liberian and go scot-free. I don't know whether we're going to see their faces. Yeah, but these are the guys. These are the guys. Compare them to now. Compare them to now when they walk freely when they walk freely across after killing Austin. When they walk freely across after killing Austin.
Problem there, better call Jesus. I'm only big man, no the ball on me. I watch your face, I seen the hope and it dawned on me. Everything could have been lovely, but I'm just another guy, I'm just another guy. Obsessed with my morals, concerned with my liberty. Options overflow.
And mind you, if it were a Liberian who killed a Ghanaian, the liberty to be walking like that and seeing in very or clean clothes, it wasn't going to be possible. Even the family of that Liberian wouldn't be able to see them. Wouldn't be able to see them. People who were on the refugee camp in Bujumbura, people who were apprehended by the Ghanaian authority when they were trying to forcibly take them away from Bujumbura camp, they will narrate the story to you, and you understand how brutal the Ghanaian police can be, especially with foreigners. So this case is a very serious case, and I hope the government of Liberia is going to take it very seriously. We cannot rely on the Ghanaian authority to handle this case alone. They are not known to be impartial in their dispensation of justice when it comes to a case between a Ghanaian and a foreigner. Nobody has given me anything to believe otherwise. There are Ghanaians who are level-headed, who will stand for the truth, who will stand for justice, but their security apparatus, their justice system is biased against foreigners. Is biased against foreigners. And so we have to be very, very careful how we deal with this issue, and Liberians from all across have to continue to engage in social media and call for justice. It is important. The loudest the voices of Liberians from the diaspora and from home, the better it is for our brother Austin to get justice. Austin and his family to get justice. It's very important for us to emphasize that his family needs justice. This was a promising young man, a very promising young man. This was a very, very promising young man. To see what happened to him in Ghana is frustrating. It is frustrating, especially for the family. His family are grieving. His family are grieving. They are grieving. The family are grieving. His families are grieving. They are grieving over the loss of a very smart young man, a very brilliant young man, who was doing everything possible to fit into the Ghanaian society that is very hostile against foreigners. He met his untimely death in a very terrible situation. You cannot imagine that somebody is going to die in the manner in which he was killed. You cannot imagine that. It's very difficult for anybody to imagine that that is the worst, one of the worst way that anybody can be killed. That is one of the worst way that anybody can be killed. So his family is grieving, and we should share the grief of the family. We should share the grief of his family. It's not easy to lose a brother and a son. Let's listen to his sister speak about that.
I want justice for my brother because he didn't deserve the way he died. He did not wrong these people. He did nothing to them. I want justice. My country wants justice. My mom wants justice. Even the video on social media, I can't watch it. I have to close my Facebook. I can't stand it. I've not seen my brother. I don't even know what he looks like. My brother was my everything, aside my husband. He has been my best brother, family member. My brother was like my father, even though he was my small brother. He's the one that gave my hand in marriage. It was on Friday. He told me on Thursday that he was going to make a presentation for a website that he had built, and his boss was sending him to go and make that presentation. So on Friday, I was expecting him to go, and I was in the room preparing to go to the market, and he came and knocked that he was ready to go. That was the last time I saw my brother. I went to the market, so my internet was not on the phone. So I got back home around 3:49. I put the internet on in the house, and I saw that his friend Mark was calling me. 3 missed calls. And it's unlike Mark to call me like that, back to back. I started panicking for some reason. Like, instead of calling Mark, I decided to call my brother. I called his phone, and the girl picked. The girl that you just interviewed, she picked. And she started shaking and crying that Austin and somebody got into a fight. I said, a fight? My brother would never fight anyone. Because I personally advised him, we have foreigners in this country, do not fight anybody. He knows that. I asked the girl, how? Why? And she said they got into a fight and Austin is unconscious, he's not talking. I just dropped everything, and my husband and I left the house. We went straight to Sakumono. We asked her where was the place. She said he carried him to Sakumono Community Clinic Hospital, something. And we went there. want justice for my brother because he didn't deserve the way he died. He did not wrong these people.
So that is it. You heard her. Her brother was a very promising guy, an arty guy, and he had won favor from his recognition from his boss, and he was just about to do a presentation on Friday when this thing took place. And another thing that we should take away is that she said her brother will not fight anyone because she advised him. We are foreigners. While we in Liberian, refrain from fighting, or why would she want to advise her brother about fighting? And not for other reasons, but specifically because we are foreigners. The records of Ghanaians are not good. The way they treat foreigners and the level of bias is exactly what she recognized and advised her brothers that once you are foreigners, you are not going to get justice the same way as Ghanaians, and therefore refrain from getting into any kind of problem with a Ghanaian. That include refrain from fighting. That is not the case in Liberia. A Nigerian can go to Liberia, a Ghanaian can go to Liberia and engage in fight. The case is going to be judged without regard to whether he's a Ghanaian or he's a Liberian. That is not the case in Liberia. We've never had the situation where our officers are so unanimously against foreigners. In fact, they protect the foreigners more than the citizens. A Liberian officer will give more attention to a foreigner more than a citizen. Why? Because he thinks that the citizen has more leverage than the foreigner. We've had Ghanaians all across Liberia. They engage in fights, but nobody goes to the police station and say, oh, we're judging the case in favor of the Liberian because this man is a Ghanaian. It wouldn't happen. So what happened to our Liberian brother is wrong. And we should stop whispering. We should speak boldly. A Liberian man was beaten to death in Ghana. Not in secrecy, not in darkness. It wasn't in darkness. In broad daylight, a Liberian man was beaten to death in Ghana. And that was not an accident. It was not an accident. He wasn't fighting back. He wasn't fighting back. The beating intensified simply because they recognized that he was a Liberian. And in the mind of the Ghanaians, they don't do wrong. If something happens, it is Nigerian, Ivorian, Liberians, and it's all the other national instead of Ghanaians. If you listen to them, Ghanaian women don't go on the street to do prostitution. It is the Nigerians. They will never ever pin anything negative on Ghana or a Ghanaian. They will always look for a foreigner to pin it on. So they recognize that Austin was a Liberian. And so they intensify their attack on him. They wouldn't do that if it were a Ghanaian. They would have paused. They would have asked questions. So it was not an accident. He was beaten publicly. It wasn't an accident. How could it be an accident when the man who was chasing after him knew that he was not a rogue? He wasn't a criminal. When the man who was chasing after him knew that he went to somebody and the person was in the compound. Yeah, Liberians are being told to wait calmly, to avoid overreacting, to avoid asking uncomfortable questions. But some days we have to face the facts. We know that historically, the Ghanaians were upset with Kwame Nkrumah, especially those politicians who fail to be recognized as first head of state of Ghana. When Kwame Nkrumah became the first prime minister of Ghana, there were a lot of politicians who thought that he shouldn't be. They went to the full length of even accusing him of being a Liberian. They even accused him of being a Liberian. And so part of that political beggary for the hit, he feel the hit against Liberians. And so when this guy who took over from Rollins, when he came to power, that was Busia, Kofi Abrefa Busia. They begin to draw up what we call the Alien Compliance Order of 1969. And up to now, they are still doing that. They are still tightening that law to make sure it is even difficult and almost impossible for a Liberian to become a citizen in Ghana. But we are talking about Africa's integration. We're talking about African unity. And so when the topple Kwame Nkrumah and the begin to enforce the 1969 Alien Compliance Order, they targeted other West Africans. They wanted other West Africans to leave the country because they thought that Nkrumah made it possible for a lot of people to go to Ghana. And the same way that they thought that Nkrumah was not a Ghanaian and became president, there's possibility that other people, when they integrate into the Ghanaian society, they might likely become president. And so Liberians were also targeted. And in around that time, they decided to remove Liberians from Ghana as much as they did with Nigerians and other nationals. So the hate for other African brothers did not start recently. It did not start recently. Ghanaians are all across the seashore of Liberia. They are making money every day from fisheries. You never have an instance where Liberians, because of some hardship, will want to ship Ghanaians back to Ghana. Every Ghanaian must have to rethink their relationship with foreigners. If Ghana has a problem, it will not be the problem. It will not be a problem coming from foreigners. In fact, the Ghanaian society is going to be built by foreigners. Whether you like it or not, the Ghanaian economy rests on the backs of foreigners. And the most angry people in Ghana are the Ghanaian men. The most angry people in Ghana are the Ghanaian men. Why are they angry? They are angry because they are lazy. They are angry because they are lazy. The society, the Ghanaian society, culturally is a matrilineal society. The Ghanaian men are very quick to put all of their burden on the Ghanaian women. And so, as a man, if you go to Ghana and you are not very careful, the Ghanaian men are quick to attack you because your disposition towards women is different. You will cherish the Ghanaian women, and the Ghana man does not like that. The Ghana man does not like that. Once he sees that happening, then you are a subject for attack. He hates you. And let me make something very clear, and we got to bash this keenly. Any society where the men feel threatened by others when they come in contact with their women, you will have a situation of hate. Racism, as we call it, started only because of women. The black men should not go around the white women. The black men should not go around the white women. That is why when you trace back when people started referring to white, is as early as 1860s. When black men began engaging in affairs with white women, the white men decided to make rules against that. So that's the same thing with the Ghanaians. The society is a matrilineal society. They place burden heavily on the women, and so the men are always angry people, especially when a foreigner comes in contact with their women. And we have to be very careful how we operate in Ghana as foreigners. But frankly speaking, the Ghanaians cannot do away with foreigners because it's foreigners that continue to build their country. Whether it's the Burkinabes or is the Nigerians or other national, it is foreigners that build their country. There is a question that refuses to die in our minds. And that is the question whether he was killed because he was a foreigner. More justice or more violence does not happen in vacuum. The guy who yelled and called him a criminal knew exactly what he was doing. The crowds do not wake up neutral. They respond to something. Somebody called him a criminal and the crowd responded. Crowd are fed narratives. For example, there was recent protest. They are taking our jobs and they are doing this and they are doing that, and people protested. Crowd came out. They are not from here. They don't belong here. I don't usually go to Ghana. The highest time I spent in Ghana was 2 weeks. But on one occasion, I was going to Ghana, just got off the airport, was trying to find a car to go to my destination. And a Ghanaian young man is walking directly in front of me, and he knows that I had my luggages, and I was rolling my luggages. He chose to walk in front of me very slowly, and I was calling his attention. And he was very aware of what he was doing because he turned around and said, "This is Ghana." Apparently, he knew I wasn't a Ghanaian. And that is all he said. "This is Ghana." A young man. I was by far older than him. But he said, "This is Ghana." That was my encounter with xenophobia in Ghana. When a foreign national becomes a target of collective brutality, xenophobia is not a wild allegation. It is a possible motive. And Ghana is not new with the accusation of being xenophobic. We see it every day. And when we refuse to examine it, that's intellectual dishonesty. If you look across the Ghanaian media, this is not something that they are highlighting. If he were a Ghanaian, If that young man were a Ghanaian, would the crowd have escalated the same way? And it's no. They are aware of themselves. Even if a Ghanaian goes to steal, they will want to cover it up. The expectation of a Ghanaian is that stealing should be all national, not a Ghanaian. So if it were a Ghanaian, would the anger have burned that intensely? Will his nationality have been shouted? These are moral issues, and we gotta look at it. Ghanaians are not ready for the unity that ECOWAS is proposing. I had an encounter in Ghana sometime back, I think it was 2014. I had a situation with my passport. The date, I think, had a little problem. And see how the Ghanaians were reacting, as if to say, I was about to burn down Ghana. I'm an ECOWAS citizen. Okay, my passport has problem. But I'm not in Ghana to kill the president. The best you can do is say, oh, you have to go back to your country. But see how the guys were acting as if to say I was from some a country like Iraq, or maybe I'm a Taliban or something like that. Not trying to educate them about ECOWAS and the fact that our countries are about talking about making ECOWAS borderless. So that citizens are free to move back and forth in the ECOWAS country. So what are you talking about? Trying to make big issue about somebody coming to your country. I flew with a plane, I enter your country, enter the airport, I came for a conference. And you have all of the details, but you want to make it look like your country is so better and somebody wants to stay in. Liberia was the go-to place. Liberia was the go-to place. Liberians who went to Ghana were mainly the crews who were fishermen. So you got to understand that Liberians didn't go to Ghana because Ghana was better than Liberia. No. Liberians went to Ghana, they were fishermen, and they were fishing along the coast. And their trade, their craft, took them places, Ghana, Africa, and all the places. So we speak of regional integration. We sign ECOWAS free movement protocol. We celebrate Pan-African unity. But what is the value of those agreements when Liberian can be beaten to death in another West African country? So Ghana will make free movement a hypocrisy when they cannot protect other Africans. There has to be a reorientation of the Ghanaians, especially the Ghanaian men. There has to be a reorientation of the Ghanaian men. Because safety is a very key issue. We can't be talking about integration and we have questions hanging over safety. Integration without safety is an illusion. We know xenophobia is not always on the an official policy, but the Ghanaian government and the Ghanaian people, the Ghanaian authorities should know that xenophobia exists. Let us be clear. Ghana as a state will not order killing. We know that. But xenophobia does not require a government authority. It does not require a government memo. It grows in economic frustration. A Ghanaian man, the one government will come and just dash their money. They give 2 cents to their women and bam, the women should take care of them. It grows in political rhetorics. Some politicians are very faint and feeble. The only thing that they can do is to blame the problem in Ghana on immigration. It grows in unchallenged prejudice. And when institutions are slow and weak, the people take justice in their own hand. Mobs become judges. If foreigners are perceived as less protected, less defended, less valued, violence finds permission. She told her brother, don't fight any Ghanaian, because justice will not be on your side no matter how right you are. Apparently, he shouldn't have listened. He should have protected himself. Because listening to that, becoming passive, silent, led to his death. What are we supposed to do? Liberians are in Ghana, they fold their hands and they get killed. If they speak, they get killed. What are they going to do? Silence is complicity. We can't sanitize this. A Liberian life was extinguished in Ghana, and that is wrong. That is wrong. Our government should take interest in that case. It doesn't matter that he's not a relative of any of those government officials. It doesn't matter that he's not a former government official. It doesn't matter that he is not a celebrity. What matters is that he's a Liberian. And for the protection of the rest of the Liberians in Ghana, this case, Liberia government taking interest in it, is going to send a message that will be strong enough to create deterrence, which is what justice does. If xenophobic sentiment fuel that attack and we refuse to name it, then we are complicit in its normalization. So Liberian everywhere should call the name of Austin. In every West African country that have their citizens in Ghana should take interest in this case, because today it is a Liberian, tomorrow it could be a Ghanaian in another country. Xenophobia does not stop at borders. It spreads. Liberians must speak. The government of Liberia must demand full transparency, demand prosecution, demand clarity on motive, and protect Liberians abroad. Already, like I said, the way in which I saw those Ghanaians the next day parading, they took bath clean, they rubbed their cream on them, they got in their best attire. You saw the what they were in, what they were wearing before they attacked this guy and got arrested, and what they were wearing moving freely in the police compound. Liberian authorities should understand that diplomacy is not silence. I listened to somebody on Facebook was hailing the police director and saying that he sent police to Ghana and that's how they apprehended those people. Both face lie. He didn't have to send police to Ghana to go apprehend these people. The people beat and killed this gentleman in broad daylight. They were seeing, everybody knew them, and there was no need for extra police officer from Liberia to go and look for these people. No, they caught the people. They caught the people. So our authority has to do more than that. They have to get engaged with the investigation. They have to get engaged with the prosecution. The Ghanaian leadership must send a clear message. Foreigners are protected. Mob justice is criminal. Nationality does not determine human worth. Now that arrest has been made, prosecution must be swift and visible. Anything less feels suspicion. There are Liberians in Ghana who are watching this case, and the only way they are going to feel safe in Ghana is the way the Ghanaian government will handle this case. Xenophobia can only thrive where accountability is slow. It hides behind phrases like misunderstanding and isolated incident. We are not going to tolerate that issue as an isolated incident just because death was involved. But Liberians were beaten. Liberians were sent to prison for no reason. When a man is beaten to death publicly, we are beyond misunderstanding. We are in the territory of societal failure. This is not anti-Ghana. This is anti-violence. This is anti-impunity. This is anti-xenophobia. A Liberian died, and we ought to be very much concerned about that. And until we know whether his nationality play a role, we cannot pretend the question is inappropriate. The real danger is not confrontation. The real danger is normalizing some of the things that happen in Ghana, normalizing xenophobia. This is 424 TV. and you're listening to a Kaki's dialogue. African life must matter everywhere in Africa. That is why Liberians treat every African as a brother. When you come to Liberia, it's easy for you to visit the home of a Liberian and share drinks with him. He treats you as a brother. When you go to Ghana, it's difficult for you to find true friendship in Ghana. Very difficult. Not impossible, but difficult. You can know a Ghanaian for 10, 15 years and never went to his house one day. We have to stop what we are doing. What we do, we may take it for granted. Some of you in Ghana haven't been outside in other people's country. You haven't traveled. That is why you are intolerant to other people. Those Ghanaians who have traveled, who have interacted, who knows how it is in other countries, will be polished, will be refined, and they will be able to interact with other people better. A Ghanaian who have come and lived in Liberia will be far more different from a Ghanaian who lived his entire life in Ghana and think that Ghana is a paradise. And other people presence in Ghana is because they want to leech on Ghana. No. People are bringing values to Ghana, and Ghana should appreciate every foreigner in Ghana. Nobody goes to Ghana to go and play. The Liberian life is lost, and it pains us. It pains every Liberian. It pains every Liberian. Before I close, let me remind the Liberian government that these are some of the reasons why, instead of making mockery out of the people who are in the diaspora, we should work very hard to build a country where every Liberian can find comfort in. To build a country where Liberians will have no need to move to a second country. Liberians can move to a second country, but I emphasize that Liberians will have no need to move to a second country. Liberians are all over the world because they are seeking greener pasture. Jobs are scarce in Liberia. Employment is being politicized in Liberia. It is the political class versus the rest of the Liberians. To be accommodated and employed in Liberia, you must be part of the henchmen of the political class. The space for professionalism in Liberia is shrinking. Professional people have no space in Liberia anymore. The government is not working to build a private sector. Everything that the private sector should do, the government is assuming that responsibility and does not see the relevance, the importance of leaving what is supposed to be left for the private sector with the private sector. the government is engaging in all kind of needless intervention when they lack the core competence to do those. Where the private sector is supposed to be functional, the government is assuming that responsibilities. I agree that a number of government officials will want to make money very fast, and therefore they want to protect the funding that goes to a particular ministry for a particular program, when they should understand that whatsoever it is, those kinds of programs and activity can better be performed outside of the ministry by the private sector. And by providing the funding to the private sector, you help the private sector to create jobs. And if the private sector create jobs, those jobs are not going to be based on politics. We ought to do better and save our citizens being overlooked in foreign countries. Save our citizens from being killed in foreign countries. Save our citizens from being used as sex slaves in foreign countries. It is time that Liberian leadership think about the Liberian people. There always must be a purpose, a reason for which you challenge yourself and say, oh, I want to become president of Liberia. I want to become a senator. I want to become a representative. Your motivation should not be to line up your pocket. Everybody knows that Liberia has some serious deficits. Your motivation should be to fix the problem in Liberia. And we should all be more Liberian and think about the solution to some of the problems that are going to help our people in the diaspora live there with dignity. We can refer back to our country and say, oh, our country is doing well, and we are not here because we are beggars. When people see you in your country and think that you are a beggar, they tend to behave in any manner to you. It's an appeal to the government at present to do everything possible to work on stimulating growth in the private sector so that Liberians at home can get employed, so that they don't go languaging in other people's country simply because they are looking for economic means. This has been a Vote 24 TV presentation on the Kakis Dialogue. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.